Hello, my name is Gardeline and I'll tell you how I will work with Trevor Noah's novel Born a Crime, Stories from a South African Childhood. I want my 8th graders to experience the text and to feel the need to verbally express their experiences. This both to build identity and cultural understanding. I think as the journalist in the newsday that Trevor Noah has a real tale to tell. It is a frank and telling portrait of life in South Africa during the 1980s and 90s. By reading passages and a chosen chapter from this book, I believe the reading activities will affect young people in a way of both understanding and personal development. The main competence aims in this lesson obtained from the English subject curriculum are that the pupils shall be able to build competence about culture, society and literature. Hopefully this lesson also will encourage them to discuss and elaborate on the way people live and socialize in South Africa. The book will also work as a starter on describing and reflecting about indigenous people both in South Africa and the rest of the world. Sometimes it's complicated to step out of the comfort zone to start expressing oneself in a foreign language. There will be a lot of new words and thoughts. But this book might be interesting enough to get the pupils on board building basic oral skills, meaning being able to listen, speak and interacting using the English language. Specific learning goals for this lesson are to be able to talk about, to be able to understand the main content of the text, and also to invest some personal involvement. I will use different techniques and strategies to approach the text and to hopefully straighten language learning. We must facilitate reading by slowing down a bit. At first I will use pre-reading and top-down strategies. Then I want my pupils to appropriating the text by using the universal language, such as talking about emotions. When we know the book a little bit, I will let them do response statements and asking authentic questions, as explained in Wieland's book Reading and Teaching. Extensive reading written about in Bøhn Dybedal and Myklevold's book Teaching and Learning English will also be suggested. The first activity will be to pre-read the front page of the book. After some individual study, the pupils will be giving some questions to discuss with their learning partner, such as, who do you think this book is about? What you know about South Africa? What you know about colonial times? Do you know something about apartheid? Or what you know about being poor? Then I will be reading some excerpts from the book about Trevor Noah as a toddler. Noah is telling at page 134, there were times when we would be in traffic and we had so little money for petrol that I would have to push the car. He is telling about the embarrassment he felt. And I want my pupils to use the universal language to appropriate the text. I'll let them read this part and give them some translated words to lean on. After reading, I want them to talk about being embarrassed. I set them to speak in already established pairs and tell them that this activity is to talk about embarrassment. Have you ever been embarrassed? I'll tell them that they may start like this. I was really embarrassed when, and so on. There is another section between chapter 9 and 10, also about feeling embarrassed, while his mother is teaching him about girls. This might also work as homework, to read and to give response statements at the text. I want to continue by letting my class read the chapter Go Hitler. I will use pre-reading on the headline and then set them off to read and encourage them to read without knowing all the words. This will be a kind of extensive reading for enjoyment in order to improve one's general language skill. For slow readers, I have suggested some paragraphs in the same chapter. Homework or work in the classroom while finishing this chapter can be to write response statements on the book. Ask which part of the story so far had an impact on them. They may use starters like I think, I felt, it moved me when, it blew my mind off when I read about, I felt both sad and amused when, and so on. Another activity would be to make or to ask authentic questions about the book, about the author, about the historic knowledge, and so on. But this part can also be let out. Sometimes we are too afraid to let text stand by itself. By using some strategies to help them to sort of get into the book, they might by now be motivated to read more by themselves. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this lesson design and can use some of it in your classroom. Good luck!